worlddata.com. And if you look at the world, I mean, nature has arranged this in this 29% of land, the habitable land is only 20%. So if your habitable land is only 20% out of 29, then 10.5% land is only cultivable land, and 8% of this is used for livestock farming, and only 2.4%. This is data as far as we have in context of India. So this 2.4% is used for crop farming. So we have to understand what is it in such a huge world. Only 2.4% is used for crop farming, 8% is used for cattle farming. Now you have, when we come to the calorie content that we get out of this percentages, so 83% of the calories we get it from crop farming, 17% calories we get it from cattle farming, and again in terms of proteins that we get 63% protein from crops farming and 33% protein from cattle farming. So with just 2.4% of the world's land, we have 18% of world's population. We are 30% of world's cattle population. We have 8% of world's bioresources, and 33% or 1/3 of these bioresources are only found in the world and nowhere in the world. They are only found in the India, and repeatedly India has been given awards by different global bodies for its capacity to preserve bioresources. So how is that 18% population on a 2.4% land, and with the 30% of global population is able to feed itself? That is a big question that we have to ask. So this is a question every Indian university and every institution, government bodies, and we will need only 40% of the agricultural land that we have. So this is not my data, but this is the word in the word in worlddata.com, which is undisputed source of information. Unfortunately, no one brings these facts, including governments, universities, or IITs. The only thing is we also eat meat. It is as much as about 60 to 65%, but meat is not our main food. Meat is just one part of our whole meals. It is just a sabji or a part of our main. Our main food is cereal. The thing that I want to emphasize is, like if you look at the environment damage or the gases, greenhouse gases being emitted by beef is almost 25 times than the cereals. So that is the reason why we have more pollution, or it is more detrimental to the environment. It is the reverse in the West. Like our meat consumption today is about 3.1 kg per head. It is about 109 kg per head in America and 84 kg per head in Europe. They have the most environmentally damaging eating habits. So we have the most environmentally compatible food habits. So that is where our lifestyle is in a way go hand in hand with a sustainable existence. Okay. Now coming back to cultural economics. So when we say it's not that we are comfortable only with each other, we are also comfortable with every living creature in the world. So that is the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This is about environmental culture. Now a little bit of cultural economics, if we go if you have a look at it, the cattle population of India is around 300 million. It is 257 million in Brazil, 95 million in China, 94 million in America, 89 million in European Union. Then how are we taking care of these cattle 3 or 4 times the number. Not that the cattle is just a edible proposition. It is our friend. It is part of our agricultural activities. It is part of our home, and it is also worship here. So we now understand. Otherwise, why should we keep 300 million cattle and livestock of nearly 500 million? So these are implications of the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. In fact, the most sustainable living symbiotic life happens in villages. So I think that is where we learn the importance of value of life. For example, in our villages, you can't cut a tree if somebody is pregnant in the village. So it is true with many villages. You have to go and take the permission of the pregnant woman's family to cut a tree. So these are not things which you can cultivate by education. This you cannot cultivate by mere giving lectures or reading books. This is part of our Indian DNA. So this is what is when Prime Minister spoke about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. He just did not speak about what was stated in our Vedas or Upanishads, but it is a functioning reality. So this is the first point, coexisting with all living beings. So now we will come to the second thing. So if you analyze the societal values that add to the sustainability, because of these values, we take care of our parents, we take care of our brothers and sisters, we educate them, and it's because we are in a relation-based society and not a contract-based society like the Westerners. We are not living together by a contract. We have not agreed to live together. We live together because we like being or living together. So these are problems. There are difficulties which would give but somebody has to give this credit for this kind of arrangement only to the women of India. So they bore the burden, they bear the difficulties, they do savings, they do expenditures. So our living style itself is very important contributor to the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So if you don't know how to live in a family, you don't know how to live as a nation, and you cannot certainly live as a global family. So the idea of family, its integrated values, the difficulties in living together, all this requires a cultural orientation, shaping up of our mind and subordination of individual for a larger cause. So this is the fundamental basis of Indian political economy. For the welfare of the family, the individual yields his rights. For the welfare of the village, the family yields its rights. And finally, for the welfare of the nation, the village yields its right. So that is the idea of nation first. So there is something very different about India. This is a manifesting societal security. We take care of our parents, we take care of family obligations, we educate our children. But this is not what is happening in the West. All the responsibilities are transferred to the government. Our families have been nationalized, the children are not being educated by the parents. Hence, with the integration of these two concepts, environmental culture and cultural economics, there is unusual way for us Indians that marks the time-tested approach towards sustainable living and sustainable developments as well. So this is the first part of my talk, wherein we are talking about the Indian values, the Indian ethos, so that we have, so which help in a way have a sustainable living with the or in sync with the nature, rather in sync with the environment. I'll just take a while before I just go to the second part. And in the second part, like typical a session wherein we talk about the technicalities of sustainable architecture. So it is always about man overpowering nature. So this is some of the images wherein man brutally, rather brutally I would say, has destroyed the nature in a way, irreversible nature. So then our man, driven by his obsession of continuous growth, has completely ignored in this development process that he has ruined our one and only home, our planet. So this is a kind of situation that we have. So we have designed some of the buildings which are in a way not usable itself. Like, so we talk about this house giving protection from all the vagaries of the climate, but unfortunately, if you look at the usage of these existing buildings that we have designed, so we have people coming out and using these outer spaces rather than the inside. So we have huge, what you say, like air conditions. We have air conditioned spaces. So we have destroyed by mining and other things, natural resources, and we have literally lost in the concrete jungle. Like, so we don't. There is hardly anything green about this. There are hardly any trees. So one, as a designer, as a person concerned with the sustainability, so there is hardly any scope for such things that man is doing. Like, so even the cities have been inhabited, and there is a very stark contrast between luxurious life and pathetic life. Then we have destroyed our natural resources like water, and same thing. So it is because of these activities that we have. So we are the source of all this. Like, so these are some of the images where the intervention of man in the natural process. Then why it is necessary to talk about this sustainability? Like, so if you look at the buildings, so they account for 70% of fresh water withdrawals and 25% of wood harvest, 33% carbon dioxide emissions, and 40% material and energy use. So what is it like, how is that the activities of mankind disturbing this nature? So we have global warming because of this urbanization, we have depleting our natural resources, we have created the water scarcity, and we are the cause for climate change as well. This ongoing rate of growth and we deal with its impacts are of great concern. So greenhouse emissions has increased by 30 folds in 2016 and continues to grow at a rate of 60%. The solution to this cannot be a local solution. So it must be a global solution. So this again depicting something like globalization is increasing widespread, adopting culture through architecture duplication, technology made duplication of the same, identifiable architectures in buildings and cities. Like, so as discussed earlier, so these are the contributory factors for greenhouse greenhouse gas emissions, sector-wise and again country-wise as well. So where is the concept of this sustainability? Like, so sustainability is a broad and complex concept, which is a major issue in building industry. The idea of sustainability involves enhancing the quality of life, allowing people to live in a healthy environment with improved social, economical, and environmental conditions. So why it is sustainable? I mean, how does this sustainable design help? Like, so one can see in hospitals, we have early discharges, like almost to extent of 2.5 day early discharges. And in terms of offices, we have increased productivity, so to the extent of 2 to 16%. Then in terms of retail spaces, there has been increase in sales per square feet. And factories, of course, we have increased production because of this sustainable way of designing. Then how is that this sustainability can be achieved? Like, so a new renaissance in architecture would be to create a balance between nature, natural ways, and modern technology. So if one has to define this sustainable development is a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. Then if you look at the pillars of this sustainability, so it has to have that economic benefit, it has to have the environmental benefit and social benefits as well. So in terms of economical benefits, it has to become eligible for available incentives, reduce annual energies. So I mean, these are typical things that we find as far as sustainability is concerned. Now, what are the methods of achieving this sustainable design? Like, so in terms of economic resources, we need to have energy conservation, we need to have water conservation, we need to have material conservations. Then life cycle design, it has to be from pre-building stage and again during the building phase and post-building phase. And the reason that gets it's more important because the other day we have had a talk about smart cities, like wherein one of the resource persons, he was talking about smart mobilities, he was talking about smart traffic management and other things. But ultimately, so we have created a problem that we are trying to solve it. Like, again, the smart cities solutions may not be a viable solution economically as well. So we are talking about a smart city for Hubli, but again, it is only 14% of the whole Hubli is covered as against the whole city itself. We are under the notion that the smart city is applicable to the whole city, but that is not the case. It is only 14% of the total area that they have taken up. So in a way, it is expensive. In a way, they are all mitigating measures rather than solving these problems in the inception stage itself. So what are the elements that can have in sustainable architecture? So we can think of these green roofs, we can have solar shingles, then pop houses, the rainwater harvesting, then using recyclable materials like container buildings and other things like that. So in terms of principles of sustainable architecture, so we have to heat the building with sun energy, solar energy. The small is beautiful, energy efficiency, conservation of water, use of local materials, and this recycling the materials, so forth. These are like the typical things that one has to look at the sustainability. Then in terms of green buildings, like, so what are the advantages? Like, so there is a reduction of energy usage from 24% to 50% almost. So there is a reduced carbon dioxide emissions to the tune of 33 to 39%. Then there is a reduced usage of water to the extent of 40%. Then there is a reduction in the solid waste to the tune of 70%. So the results do matter. Like, if you look at some of the green rated buildings, like if you look at the green building with a LEED gold, it can add up to a cost of the building to an extent of 5%. It may be a little bit more expensive than an ordinary building, but the savings in terms of energy saving is almost more than 30%. And the return on this is, the payback is going to be in just 3 years. So there are advantages. There could be an initial cost of initial cost, but you will get the things back in very shorter period. Now, what are the things that we are looking at? The reduction in building potable water to the extent of 33%, reduction in water use for the landscape is 60%, wood products, usage of wood products rather at 87%, then reuse of demolition and constructed waste is 94%. And when we look at these pictures, like these are the images that we have taken. I mean, they are on in the public domain. I don't claim to be these my pictures. I don't have any copyrights, but this content is available in the public domain. So these are the images taken during the lockdown slides. So the pandemic has taught us a very great lesson in terms of if there is no intervention as far as the natural, with the environment, definitely it can get to its glory in a very short period. So that is the lesson that we have learned during this pandemic as well. So this is a beautiful marine drive. Otherwise, it would not be so beautiful with all the traffic and the pollution that we have there. So sustainable architecture is a general term that describes environmental conscious design techniques in the field of architecture. In the broader context, sustainable architecture seeks to minimize the negative environmental impact of the buildings by enhancing efficiency by moderations in the use of materials, energy, and development space. So again, these are some of the things like, so most simply, the idea of sustainability or ecological design is to ensure that our actions and decisions today don't inhibit the opportunities of the future generations. So architecture must not fight with the nature, but should seek to partner with it. So what are the approaches that we have? So sustainability could have two basic approaches. The first one, naturalistic or the passive one, and the second one is artificial or the active one. The later is, as I said, I was discussing about smart cities, is energy driven and can be seen largely as what could be termed as second level or sometimes even as a remedial measures. Whereas the early one is simply the smart design, planning and detailing, more importantly done at the right stage. So these are the two approaches which need to be looked at. Unfortunately, we are not looking at the first option. Even, as a part of, as a member of Bijapur Urban Development and Authority, so we don't have even a representation from engineers fraternity or architects fraternity when it comes to taking the decisions of developing these neighborhoods are concerned. So unfortunately, we need to have a system, or the government has to frame a policy wherein there is going to be an active participation from all the players in this field. Then in the Indian context, as Indians, we have a sustainable outlook towards life in itself in general, which I talked about a little while ago. We have been living sustainable lives since generations. This bank of wisdom is our legacy today, and the onus is on us to see how it can be taken forward. So this outlook has embraced all walks of life, be it alternative medicine, social response, sustainability of the built environment, rich and diverse vernacular traditions. Our rich vernacular traditions actually start from the natural settings of the city or the site, and response to metaphysical concerns, climate, local skills and materials, and appropriate technology. So more importantly, it is a passive approach and thus less energy intensive. These are proven technologies and often scalable. So in the next presentation, we will be, I'll just have a detailed discussion of on this aspect. Then when it comes to the role of a typical architect, so one has to provide technical support to the developers, then plan supporting infrastructure, design the built environment, guide the contractors, help clients visualize their dreams, and guide policy makers. So again, the role of a typical ideal architect should have been the other ways, so protecting Mother Earth, social awareness, affordable architecture, harvest and conserve energy, sustainability from the different perspective. So the idea is to reduce, reuse, restore, recycle, and regenerate. So one of the way of achieving this sustainable architecture is by vernacular architecture. So what vernacular architecture means is it's the term used to categorize methods of construction which use locally available resources and traditions to address local needs. vernacular architecture tends to evolve over the time to reflect the environmental, cultural and historic context in which it exists. Then, is it sustainable? So, if we talk about the vernacular architecture could be understood as the building traditions which have been developed by the people over generations and often built by themselves. These are tried and tested practices which have actually sustained the ravages of time. They have been handed down through the generations. They rely on passive measures by and large and respond to the context. Basically, it is architecture without architects. So vernacular is wisdom applied in a traditional architecture. So the basis of vernacular is that it responds to several contextual aspects. It responds to climate, it responds to place, it responds to culture, material, local skills and also maintenance, durability and metaphysical aspects. The premise is that the vernacular tradition was extremely sustainable in every sense of the word. So there are different ways of looking at this. So vernacular, we have vernacular architecture. So it is also about the languages. Then it's also about nativity. It is also about nature. It is also about the value addition that we have, and it's also about adaptability. Then also about earliest, like it is very primitive one. Then again it is also about ancestors. It is also about circulation, and finally it is also about aesthetics. So that ends our second presentation. But so coming to third part of it, wherein as I said, like in the third part, we are looking at some of the, a journey through India, and where we have sustainable practices responding to the climate, responding to the context, responding to the cultures. So the journey of sustainability, the Indian vernacular and beyond. So basically India has different climatic regions. So India is the land of varied climatic zones. So in the western part we have hot and dry, so central being composite. The coastline is warm and humid. The northern part is cold. Some part of the south Deccan is temperate. So depending upon the various climatic zones, so we see different buildings coming out of the responses to these climatic zones. So India, India is a vast, stunning, pluralistic country. The discovery and deeper understanding of sustainable buildings in India needs one to travel across India and understand its vast diversity, cultural heritage and traditional knowledge. So as one travels across this beautiful, pluralistic and diverse country, where every few hundred kilometers you travel, you have the people, the language, the clothing, the food, the spices, the culture, the festivals, the markets, the streets, the hawkers, the beliefs, the perceptions and notions, and of course the architecture and design of buildings constantly change. The true notion of sustainability change with time and context. So in the extreme northern part of the country, where we have Leh Ladakh region, the humane characteristics of the buildings using an architectural vocabulary that seems absolute. The vertical stacking of the buildings on the slope, on the hills, result in individual houses catching the sun's rays, as the sun rays are the most natural and critical resource for survival. So in these cold regions, and the dependency on sunlight to maintain the comfortable conditions is completed by the traditional building materials such as earth, timber and construction techniques with high thermal insulating properties. Then these buildings are there for centuries, and they are not just houses but also magnificent monasteries and the palaces in the region, and they utilize and the sunlight to enter the building. They utilize heat from the cooking appliances, trap heat by providing sun spaces and thermal lag through thick drum wall construction. So these timber lintels and plaster bands that we have, so actually they distinguishable features of the Ladakhi architecture, and but the evolution is not just for aesthetic purposes. Made of layers of timber, these lintels act as thermal barrier and prevent the loss of heat due to conduction from the wall, keeping the building warm in the cold climate. As one travels from southwards towards the Piddi in Himachal, one witnesses buildings that illustrate a highly evolved traditional understanding of the manipulating the extreme climatic conditions, just like in Ladakh, resulting in survival of human beings for centuries. So the villagers did not have to look far for the resources. With the sun above and earth below and some wood and stone, they built the grand temples, the humble houses and the granaries. As one travels further south towards Manali, one can feel the Himalayas transform. The weather changes, the language, the traditions of the course, the architecture. Even in this high seismic zones, at times the buildings would be as high as 7 stories and have intricate carvings, wooden carvings, and the name of the technique is cart kuni. So the cart for wood and kuni meaning corner. These buildings were environmentally friendly, kept the cold out, could survive earthquakes due to its high strength, tensile strength, and only needed two most locally available resources and had basic comforts needed for the harsh Himalayas. So we'll just breeze through some of the images of different regions. So if you come to the eastern parts, then we have different techniques altogether. Then we have towards western part of north and the northwestern part. So we have as one continues to north and also being to new lands, new terrains, new landings, one feels a sea of change with its enormous courts, palaces, intricately carved temples, lakes, gardens, busy bazaars, and rich calmer makes it one of the most experienced travel like. So these are the these are all things that are one can see coming out of context, coming out of climatic needs, coming out of societal needs. So we, as we breeze through these images, we see the vastness of Indian knowledge system. Coming to last part of it rather, so wherein we are talking about the architecture is not created in a vacuum. So it is a compulsive expression of beliefs central to our lives. When we look at architectural heritage of India, we find an incredibly rich reservoir, all coexisting in an easy and natural pluralism. It is their continuing presence in our life that creates a pluralistic society of India today. But unfortunately, at the same time, across the country, one can see this. This is not the India that we envisage. So imagine a world where traveling in Jaipur and traveling in Mumbai or Cochin are going back are going to look the same. When we come across glass scrapers in a heritage city, it is possible to perceive how insiders and literal it could prove to look around India today. So tragic indeed for this to happen in a land that one conceived architecture as a model of cosmos. This leads to a loss of Indian ethos that we have conserved for centuries. So it is important for the architect and engineers of today to travel, explore and know the diverse country. Modernity is only one of the many overlays that constitute India. It is essential that the first step is understanding the indigenous traditions and technology of India, from which the contextual design shall emerge. So we don't have to go for lessons in sustainability. They already exist around us, and this is a phenomenon happening in the world over. There is so much to travel, explore and rediscover in our country. All one needs to do is look around, because a sustainable world already exists. So with that, I think we will conclude here. Thank you very much for the time.
Practicing architect and urban designer at PDA, Prasanna Desai Architects Pune. Born in Calcutta and brought up in Delhi, Prasanna Desai sir obtained his Bachelor's in Architecture in 1980 and Master's in Architecture in Urban Designing in 1983, both from the School of Planning and Architecture, SPA. He worked as architect. He worked with architect Achut Kanvinde in the early years before joining the postgraduate studies, and later started his practice with his classmates Narayan Shastri. Together, they won many architectural design competitions in the early part of their career. Architect Prasanna Desai runs an architectural and urban design practice in Pune, emphasizing the role of architect in public domain with people participatory approach, focusing on equity, empathy to evolve. An approach in affordable housing for masses as well as safe and socially shared streets, leading to creation of healthy, hygienic and human neighbors. An inspiring teacher, he has also been active in academics for last 4 decades, mentoring and nurturing students all over the India. Currently, he is professor and director at PVP College of Architecture, Pune, and has been guiding force in establishment of Forum and Exchange and Excellence in Design (FED), an academic platform for students and architects in the city of Pune. After spending more than 30 years in Delhi, he moved to Pune in 1990, where he currently runs an architectural practice which is involved with urban design issues, emphasizing the role of an architect in public domain. The firm has designed around 100 kilometers of street and completed over 50 kilometers out Pune in PMC and PSDCL. Last mile connectivity for 5 metro stations of Mahametro Pune. An inspiring teacher, he has been active in academic years from last 4 decades, as we said. Currently, the firm is working for 8 kilometers of street redesigning of streets in Akrudi Pindal Ikhar. He has been appointed as Global Mentor under CITIIS, that is City Investments to Innovate, Integrate and Sustain, which was initiated by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. He firmly believes that architect who is trained to be sensitive person needs also to be aware citizen and activist, thus playing much larger role in the development of society and contributes considerably for the betterment and quality of built environment in cities. Sir, it is our honor to welcome you to today's workshop. I request our coordinator, Dr. Asif Momin sir, to welcome him with a hand.
Okay, am I audible? Yeah. Great, and इसका वॉल्यूम कुछ ज़्यादा है. Is that okay now? Yeah, looks good. So extremely happy to be here in Bijapur, and thank you everyone. Anuradha ji, Asif and Manthan, who did my poster. I have been bothering them a lot in last 3 weeks. The HOD sir also had sir is here, or he's coming. So he is the senior person whom I knew all the time. And I come to Bijapur. I came in 1991 on the way to Belur, Halebi, and that time I was here for some time. So the city is known, but I've never been here. That is point one. Second is, what I'm going to present to you is completely lateral. Completely lateral, and I would also request those on the last row over there if they can come over here so that they don't see it in a perspective. If you are all architects, you are more used to seeing things in different perspectives. So if you come over here, it will be very comfortable for you. But it is up to you. Sorry? So, in the profile, many things have been said. I'm an architect, urban designer, etc., etc., etc. But this presentation is keeping all the hats aside. No qualification. This is a common man, common sense presentation which we are doing, and we have been doing it all throughout. So you don't really require degrees, but at a particular time, it comes in handy being an architect. But otherwise, it is common man. We have been given this presentation to bureaucrats, politicians, Mathariwalas are people who sit on the streets, vendors, merchant association, traffic police, engineers, corporations, students, architects, everywhere. But more so we are always concentrating with the administration, which is trying to look at the cities and we want to do something with it. And that is it. The whole presentation has some harsh realities, some logic, some theory, some research, and some simple solutions, absolutely simple solutions, which don't need any rocket science at all. So having said that, it's a long presentation. You have had a good lunch, and those of you who are sleepy can go to sleep. I have no issues whatsoever. And that happens in any class. I am a hardcore teacher too. So I know that. I only ask the people to take little water and just put it, splash it. I also carry a spray gun in my class at times. Holi is coming, so just use spray it around. And I don't think that is required. I will keep you alert. I will keep you alert for next 2 hours if you give me 2 hours. Maybe plus, I don't know. They said any time. I don't mind to be here till dinner time also. And then if you want to walk out, you are most welcome to walk out. Now, simple question. How many of you are in the teaching fraternity here? Okay. Teaching faculty, architects and engineers. How many engineers? Okay, I love to address engineers. Let me tell you very, very candidly this. Because as architects, we don't want to collaborate. How many architects or architecture students? Oh my God. OMG. Please collaborate. Please collaborate. We had Mr. Charanjit Shah, who is titled as the airport king from Delhi. He was here and he was also saying, मिलके काम करो, साथ में काम करो, तभी हम आगे बढ़ पाएंगे. So we collaborate, and I will tell you how we collaborate. So I think architects have a habit of putting things into their pocket. And then I will get my we go to the site, every site we have a tape, and then suddenly the contractor says, "Bhai sahab, tape hoga aapke paas, to hamari har एक जेब में चला जाए." I always wear a jacket because I don't know what kind of a temperature we are going to be in. So the jacket is always come as a safety. Title is creating sustainable eco-friendly neighborhoods. There will be many titles to that. Creating healthy, hygienic human neighborhoods. Our journey started long ago, and this is sometime I shifted to Pune in 1990. Delhi was a mess anyway. So this was the first article we wrote, traffic quality of life in Pune. Pune needs a patron to solve traffic woes. Then our journey started in 97. You can see the black dots there. Then you can see some green, you can see some red. The black dots is only research. Only research. The red dot is research converted into design, but design not getting executed. It's just remaining design. All architects know that how frustrating it can be. Designs don't get executed. It reaches tender stage, it still doesn't happen, and the kind of area we are working on it. The green one is little success there. Next decade, you will see a lot of reds. You will see some lot of black. Research is converting into red into some green. Now you can see more green. You can see little orange also. That means it is in the execution process to reach green. That is the journey, and the journey continues. This is 2022. This is the article. We wrote and we said that this is what is to be done. I will not divulge the name. You wrote too. Otherwise we are in a mess. So this was it has taken us 2 decades or 2.5 decades to reach from here to here. To save this tree and make this better. It has taken us 2 decades. This is our 2 decades of journey. More than 2 to 3 decades. And this is not only my work, my whole office team is there. There's one student from your college who is currently working with me after trying to pester me for 1 year to enter into my office. And today morning she didn't know I'm coming here. She writes to me, oh, I'm so proud that you are going to my institute. And please convey my regard to your faculty members. I should. That's right. Simple articles. 7 years ago, everybody saw Delhi. Can we dim the lights? Yeah, can we dim the lights? Saw the Delhi's air taking a deadly U-turn, but nobody did anything. Landmark study lies buried. How Delhi's poisonous air is damaging. Leave Delhi. Delhi's air pollution, vehicle emissions, etc., etc. All these articles, plenty of them. Because we have a very good light coming from the natural source, and we are all talking about sustainability. I think this is the biggest conflict we have, sustainability. In my interview for the post of, I don't know what was it, in Pune, the interviewer asked me, what about the definition of sustainability? There is an interview room, there are windows all around, all the curtains full, lights are on. I said, can we open the windows and can we just open this, shut off this? That is the definition of sustainability. This is a very senior professor from Pune University. Vehicles far more pollution. Bill Gates, everybody knows. Bill Gates, how to avoid a climate disaster. That's his book. What does it say? This is a circle. Apart from architecture, all other modes, transportation, heating and cooling, manufacturing and electricity, we as architects, engineers are party to it. We are party to it. We talk about rethinking cities, sustainable cities, resilient cities, livable cities, smart cities. कितना नाम लेना दे दो, हर 10 डिकेड के बाद में एक नया नाम निकल के आता है. Title बदलता रहता है because you need to have a change. Just now there is Bhopal from this thing, some design was shown. The team which was reviewing the design, कुछ नया लेके आओ. I want you to read in this slide. I will ask many questions. You have to be very quick and fast. And don't hesitate to give any answer. No answer is right or wrong. It is only a perception. What do you see in this slide? Quickly. Anyone? Anyone? Traffic. Sorry? Traffic. Traffic. Okay. Anybody else? Huh? Messed up. Okay. Yeah? What did you say? जाल. Web. Okay. जाल है. Okay. Okay. दिल्ली से पंजाबी आती है तुम? चंगी पंजाबी आती है. मेरे साथ गल कर देना. And anybody who's answered, please raise the hand and I can look there. Simple pictures instruction. Okay. What do you see in this? Yeah? Night light. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah? High buildings. Yeah? Mountains. Oh wow, okay, wow. I really appreciate you. Admire you. Look at the mountain, you need to get the city. Fantastic. You are looking beyond. What else? Anybody else?
High-rise buildings.
High-rise building, bridges. Has anybody said something? There's one word I'm looking for. I'm sure somebody must have said it. I don't understand. Density. Density, okay. Nobody in these two slides looked at energy. Consumption of energy. Look at the energy consumption. So this is so. Now, let us bring to this city. Any idea? You know the city? It's written there, Desai. Okay, this city Today is also valid. Now people say you are being very nostalgic, you are being very old, आप पुराने fashion दो, पुराना क्यों दिखा रहे हो? But it has climate, it has context, it has connectivity and it has culture and today also it has it. It has economy also there. One thing it doesn't have, that you need to answer and please I will request raise the hand and answer, otherwise I will be confused. This is Jodhpur. Same. Anyway, what is it doesn't have? It has all that I have written there. Climate, connectivity, context, culture. But कुछ गड़बड़ है. अगर आप उसको गड़बड़ कहते हो, एडवांस टेक्नोलॉजी को इंस्टॉल हो गया, वाईफाई में सब काम कर रहे हैं. Everything is working on Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is not a problem. Yes. High range is missing. So is it a disadvantage or advantage? Here, people in summer sleep in the daytime inside in a cool wall, and at night they come up to the terrace. In winter, they are during the daytime on top, and at night they are inside the house. Fantastic. I stayed in this kind of environment in Delhi's Karol Bagh. More consumption of energy. Obviously, I'm sorry, consumption should do research, but I don't think there is any consumption. They are all walls which are stuck to each other. The heat is not really transferring. So I think the electricity bills over here will be much lower. Yeah. Unbuilt space. Okay, he's saying open space is less. Open space is less, so there is no place for play or etc. like this. But if one does the calculation, one will not find it. One will find 40% open space there as internal courtyard, which is private. Somebody else? One more point, which is the most important point that people think that this is not there. And if you are not thinking, I really appreciate it. Artificial lighting. Adequate light is there, but you don't need too much of light. Too much of light is harsh. It gives you glare. Go to the houses, particularly who are staying in builder's flat. How many windows do you have and do you keep your curtains drawn or open? Night to close, but the daytime में तो drawn ही होता है because there is so much of glare that is coming. So the builder is giving you so many windows, there is बहुत सारा window चाहिए. Four side open rooms. This is the new fashion. You don't want four side open rooms. There will be all heat which will be coming in. Anyway, I am not here discussing that. Yeah, one more point. Missing? Sorry. Not properly arranged. This is very dynamic. ना that जरूरी नहीं है. It doesn't have to be Chandigarh. There's something missing over here. That's why people are cribbing all the time. And if you are not cribbing about it, I am so happy. Trees, okay, less trees. Okay. Okay, less trees. Fair enough. Yeah. अरे गाड़ी घर तक नहीं पहुंचती. You can't even reach your doorstep. That's the biggest problem with this city. If you consider that as a problem, I don't consider that as a problem. People will consider. The car doesn't reach only the two-wheelers, but the roads are narrow, and we want to now widen it, so we will cut both sides. Chuck, chuck, chuck. We will cut the. Anyway, this is my perception. So this shaded courtyard, shaded streets, courtyards, that kind of a mahal hai. So we come to this point of then and now. This is then, this is now. I am not saying that we should adapt this. I am saying that this pendulum is swinging. We should come somewhere in between. There has to be a balance. Unfortunately, there is no balance, and we are only going towards the red. And that there are ample warnings which have been issued, and these warnings are going to take us nowhere. And this generation, your generation, when you reach a particular age, I don't know what we are in for. That's why this whole discussion about sustainability and all these titles which are coming in. This is, I don't have to tell you, burger, pizza. How many of you like burger and pizza? Well, you want to really raise hands, all of you? I am not taking a vote. But everybody is into this. And this is our Indian meal. So your Indian meal still remains the most balanced thing. And I think the urban environment, particularly in India, has to follow this. Rather than that. And we are trying to follow, we are trying to aim the West. We want more glass, and n number of things that are happening. We wear like this, and we are comfortable. That's the way you are dressing. And that's how we should be. This is the person, maybe in Rajasthan, Jodhpur, Jaipur, I don't know. Here in Pita, which will become a takiya, it will also become a chadar, it will also, we will use it. This person is from UK or Europe, so he is a guy in this thing. And last 2 decades or 3 decades, what are we doing? We are eating. We are trying to do this. So this is where we are. Okay? And this is where we will like to go. And we are not looking at ourselves. Having said that, what is being smart? Smart is being healthy, and city needs to make a healthy choices for healthy citizens. I would request you to not crosstalk. I know you are very excited, and I will make you very excited also, but I am a humble request. This is Michael Bloomberg. How many of you have heard of Michael Bloomberg? Okay, Michael Bloomberg is the 3 times mayor of New York City. All of us know New York City. 3 times mayor. He came to Mumbai, and this is 2015 article in Times of India, and he comes and he says these 4 things. I told you it will be research, it will be logic, it will be n number of things. 5 things, half reality. So I will show you, and then I will show you design. So you have to be very patient to come to what is the solution. There is a false choice between economic development and environmental quality. It is easy to quantify economic growth, but how do you put a value to 2 more years of life? 2 साल की जिंदगी को वैल्यू कैसे करोगे? Economic growth को तो आप GDP से कैलकुलेट कर लेंगे. So how do you do that? Second is saying is, you need jobs, you need growth, you need lot of things, but to say that you need them before your health, सेहत से पहले वो चाहिए क्या? If you say you are dying, you might look back and say that wasn't a right decision. The last one. If you do not focus on the environmental quality of life, you will not be able to fix the economic side. If helping people live longer, happier lives isn't the purpose of the government, then I don't know what is. सरकार का काम लोगों का long life, good environment, good water, good air, good quality of life, that is there. Only GDP is not going to take us anywhere. You know Fatehpur Sikri? Fatehpur Sikri was built by Akbar, and Akbar abandoned it. Why did he abandon it? Water. Simple. Our cities will be there. If we don't take care of our cities, people will abandon the cities and flock to the cities which are taking care, and one day when the city will completely choke, they will abandon that city also. So today cities are getting choked. And we say, and post-COVID, I think we have to learn, but we are still not learning. Those are under rahe. The smaller cities did much better. At that time we said that, oh, health is important, air pollution levels dropping down, more aa raha hai sadak ke upar, wow, everybody was glorifying. Back to normal in the same thing, nothing learned. Particularly, I am addressing the engineering and architectural background. Because it is you who can really look at it. So having said that, we work with government, okay? हम सिर्फ सरकार के साथ काम करते हैं. It is very easy to sit on a coffee table and keep on criticizing the sarkar. And all middle class, I belong to the same middle class to which you belong. And the middle class is the biggest hypocrite. वो कॉफी टेबल पे बैठेगा शाम को और कहेगा यार ये तो नहीं हो रहा, वो नहीं हो रहा. गरीब तो अपने स्लम में बैठा हुआ है, इकोनॉमिकली वीकर सेक्शन में ही स्ट्रगलिंग. The top one is sitting in maybe clubs and saying, oh, I like to do this, you know, this is what the policy should be and all. So middle class is the majority. Walkable cities reduce blood pressure, hypertension risk. More walkable neighborhoods can reduce risk of diabetes. How many of you have walked to the college today? How many of you have walked to the college? There we are. How many? Okay, go. How many of you stay within 2 to 3 to 4 kilometers within college? Raise hands. 2 to 3 to 4 kilometers can be cycled. 2 to 3 to 4 kilometers can be cycled. You don't want to cycle, it is too much of heat. But more than that, it is safe. How many of you walked to school during your childhood? Look at it. Okay. How many of you cycled to school in the childhood? this is the main question. How many of you will send your children to school on bicycle? There are only 4 or 5 who don't have trust. Don't have, I will tell you how it moves. Somewhere, telling you. Brisk walking better than losing weight than going to gym. Gym में जाएंगे. There is a gym. I go in the Mercedes Benz in the gym. I go on a motorcycle on the gym. फिर जिम में जाके मैं 15 मिनट ट्रेडमिल करूंगा और वार्म अप करूंगा. घर से लेके जिम तक पैदल चले जाओगे तो वार्म अप हो गया. पैदल जाओ, वापस पैदल आ जाओ, कूल डाउन हो जाएगा. जाते तो ब्रिस्क जाओ, वापस कम. My wife is a nutrition counselor and diet counselor for healthy lifestyle management. She is right now sitting in the hotel and is doing some online consultancy. So I can share the number with you. Physical to बढ़ना चाहिए ना, economic GDP. So half of the quotes are from her. Healthy lifestyle and healthy city. This is our collaboration. So you go to a gym, then the treadmill. That's a very interesting photo which you don't have. You go to a gym, then you are going to the first floor, there is an escalator going to the first floor. And then he says and changes and then says, okay, treadmill, now I am doing treadmill. Why don't you come to the gym on a bicycle and then do the other exercise which are meant for muscles and all? You don't cycle, you don't walk, not because you don't want to walk. So you don't have comfort in walking. I will tell you what to do. Roads and streets are arteries of the city. And they are almost, I am taking a very major thing, 15 to 20% of the open space, but we believe is almost 30% of the open space or maybe more. It works like this. It's like the body, it's like arteries of the human body where blood circulation is happening. And streets are basically that. Whether it is car, buses, cycle, pedestrian, all that we will discuss. Safe trees will give you fresh air, walkable streets will give you healthy habits. Cycle-friendly streets will give you a healthy lifestyle, safe neighborhood, healthy body. This is the way our cities are. This is Pune. This is Mumbai. Any part of any city you click, photographs looks the same. This is Jaipur. This is a fantastic photograph. Show it to a foreigner or get him over here. He just doesn't understand what is happening. He's so confused. How do you manage this? There is a bus, there is a cycle rickshaw, there is a tempo, there is a half gadi, there is a car, everything is there, and everything is working. This is India. But is it really safe at times? It's a question. Can we organize it? Is it really required to be organized? Could be also a question. So I will come to that. How many of you have heard the name of Enrique Peñalosa? So this is my almost 150th lecture, or I don't know, 200 all over the country, and I really, because for students in particular, this is what the research should be. Enrique Peñalosa is the Colombian president and politician who won the election 3 times as a mayor, and he's, I don't know whether he's an architect, you can Google it, but he's a planner. He's a planner, and he's the mayor of the city. What does he say? You have read it by now. A developed country is not a place where poor have cars. It is where rich use the public transport. That is a developed country. Now, that is not happening in India at all. I am sure Bijapur wants a metro very soon. हमारे को metro चाहिए. ये बच्चों का ना खिलौने का वो है. बर्थडे केक. मामा उसको आपने झुझु गाड़ी दिया, मेरे को भी नेक्स्ट वाले को आला झुझु गाड़ी चाहिए. So every city wants a metro. At huge cost. Whether it will serve the purpose or not, we don't know. Sakara wants, Sangli wants, Kolhapur wants, Bhagar wants, anything like that. We are not. I'm not sure whether the city has a public transport which is working. Bus system. I don't know. Maybe it is working. Pune is, well, I don't know whether it is not working, but it is taking a lot of road. Nasik is a crumbling bus transport. Kolhapur doesn't have. So, what kind of a public transport you have? Maybe sharing rickshaws, the nice tum-tums which are there. The frequency is very fast, so that you share and come, something like this. Cities have been taken over by motor vehicles. They need to be returned to the people. This is a very simple thing. Dr. Dinesh Mohan. There are 3 or 4 gurus I will mention in the end. Sujit Patwardhan is my guru. Dinesh Mohan is my guru. Itam Tiwari is my guru. I have not learned all this from any books. They are the 3 people who are the top people in India. Two of them are no more with us. Only Vitam Tiwari and IIT Delhi is there. We lost Sri Patwardhan during Diwali this time from Pune. Dinesh Mohan during COVID. What does Dinesh Mohan say? Very simple. Common sense. Anybody will understand. What kind of a city do I want? Where my daughter and grandmother can walk and cross roads alone in the evening. Simple. I have my daily needs within walkable distance of home. Daily needs. मेरे को ब्रेड चाहिए, अंडा चाहिए, दूध चाहिए, घर पे चल के जाते हैं। अभी हम कैसे लेके जाते हैं? और मैं भी इसका कल्प्रिट हूँ। मेरे को ब्रेड वगैरह चाहिए, मैं 2 व्हीलर निकालता हूँ और जाता हूँ। मैं वहीं तक नहीं जाता, मैं दुकान के अंदर तक लेके जाता हूँ। जल्दी से देना। So I want my 2-wheeler right into the shop. This is my right. It's not my fundamental right, to be very honest. Constitution doesn't give me this right. Right to parking, right to take the vehicle. I have converted it. I don't walk. Azura is walking, I will still take. Azura cannot walk and go to the shop because he is unable to walk. And his son and daughter-in-law saying, Azura, don't go, गिर जाओगे, फ्रैक्चर हो जाएगा, तकलीफ हमारी हो जाएगी, मत निकलो, रास्ते देखिए आजकल ट्रैफिक कितना होता है, घर पे बैठे हो ना टीवी देखो, सीरियसली. So this is how society is developing, and it is all because of these things that I am talking about. And somebody should do research as a dissertation paper. Third one, where I share space and equal citizen with others. Equity of space. Equity of space, open space. So the rich don't have only the clubs or the golf courses, but everybody has access. So the takeries of Pune, the beaches of Mumbai, the Hussain Sagar Lake of Hyderabad, the India Gate of Delhi, the marina of Chennai, and I'm sure there are some open spaces over there. They can't be locked, they are for the people. So that is what the city is. And the last one, the city, one I am proud of and want to show others its beauty, quietness and civility. What do you want to show when I come over here and say, Govinda, I will see in something else. People will like, हमारे शहर में ना 25 फ्लाईओवर है, हमारे शहर में कितने हैं? सिर्फ 5, oh, very underdeveloped, very underdeveloped. How many malls do you have? यहाँ पे बहुत सारे malls. I will tell you between mall and all. In COVID, what opened last? Malls opened the last. Why? Can somebody tell me why?
Gathering space.
Sorry?
Gathering space.
Yeah, most unhealthy. Malls remain most unhealthy because you are breathing the same air. Any cancer patient, the doctor advises don't go to the cinema hall, don't go to air-conditioned spaces. You have more chances of inhaling and this is what COVID taught us. Malls were the last to open because one by one. And the streets were the open wall. Kitna bhi pollution street ko, Almighty and the universe will take care of it. Air conditioning will not take care of it. But we don't work on this at all. But air conditioning companies will keep on selling us air conditioners and we will keep on buying air conditioners. So, city's beauty is the open space, the hills and all this which we are destroying day by day. So this is the nation. There is a very interesting research by Dr. Carlos Dora. Dr. Carlos Dora. These are houses, these are houses. This is a street. Now I want to go from this house to this house. Alright? सामने दोस्त है, बहुत क्लोज दोस्त है, बहुत ही क्लोज दोस्त है, जाके मिलना चाहोगे. 2000 vehicles in the center, you have 3 friends, 5.3 acquaintances. दोस्ती 3 है, जान पहचान 5.3. Vehicles 8000 हो गए, दोस्ती 1.3 होगी, जान पहचान 4.1. Heavy traffic 16000, दोस्ती 0.3, 3.1. तो आप एक दूसरे से मिलना बंद कर दो. Stop going. यार बहुत ट्रैफिक है, तेरे पास मैं नहीं आऊँगा, चल फोन पे बात करते हैं, वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस कर लेंगे. हैप्पी बर्थडे भी नहीं कहते. वैसे भी हम आजकल HBD टाइप करते हैं. झपकी मार के तो हैप्पी बर्थडे करना ही नहीं चाहते. So this is what COVID taught us. Emotionally we were very imbalanced in COVID. मिले ही नहीं यार. Didn't beat you. Human race wants to beat each other, not on that screen. So this research is done much earlier. So what is traffic doing? Traffic is dividing the society. In Pune, on Karve Road, I don't have that slide, I don't have the newspaper article. There is a newspaper article. In Karve Road in Pune, one of the streets, one old person is coming from this side and stopping a rickshaw. And what does he tell the rickshaw? काका मेरे को उस तरफ छोड़ देना, कर्वे रोड क्रॉस करने का कितना, क्रॉस करने का, रिक्शा में बैठ के क्रॉस करके दूसरी साइड, इससे न्यूज़पेपर आर्टिकल एंड रिसर्च, people cannot cross the street and they are hiring auto rickshaws to cross the street or they don't. Enjoy your life. Next one is a quiz and you have to be alert and your answer will come for 1/10th of a second. How many lanes were there? How many lanes were there? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Keep on counting. You keep on adding lanes, cars will keep on coming. जितना रास्ता चौड़ा करोगे उतनी गाड़ियां आती रहेगी. You cannot stop them. This is what people's aspiration is. इसको aspiration कहते हैं. आपके किसके घर में कवर्ड स्पेस समझते हो? अलमीरा में किसके घर में जगह बनाई है? I would like to come and store some of my stuff at your place. है किसी के घर में? नहीं ना, भरा पड़ा है. और एक नया कवर्ड ले लो, वो भी भर जाएगा. Street is like this. जितनी street करोगे भरती चली जाएगी. You are making access easy. And I will tell you, aspiration is something different. Yes, you will have aspiration, but you can always reduce the number of things. स्कूल में 2 किलोमीटर तक जाए, 2 किलोमीटर तक पैदल चलाऊंगा, 5 किलोमीटर आगे देखूंगा, सब देखिएगा. Or I will use a public transport or a sharing rickshaw. So this is what it is. Have you heard of Louis Mumford? Louis Mumford is a researcher, planner, architect. Building more roads is like loosening your belt when you are getting fat. You are very happy. Belt के और बोल, मोची साहब और तो बोल कर लो. Brand थोड़ा lose करो. I am not afraid. This is the way cities are. If you plan cities for cars and traffic, you get cars and traffic. If you plan cities for people and places, you get people and places. This is what Fred Kent says. Now you may ask me, sir, आप कार यूज करते हो? मेरे पास 3 cars. I am not a hypocrite. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I have. But I from site I go to college, from college I go to office, from office I again go to site, then I go for a meeting, then I go to NGO. I have multiple things. A doctor, one hospital to other hospital, third hospital to this hospital. But let us look at a banker. Morning he starts from there, goes to the bank. Evening he starts from there, goes back to his house. So in 5 days or 6 days, he is doing this up and down trip. One day on Wednesday, he wants to visit a friend for a marriage or something. That day he may take out a car. So 6 days, I don't take out a car. One day in between, I take out a car. Number of trips on the street are reduced. On a Sunday, there are no vehicles on the street. कहाँ पे चले जाते हैं? चूहे के बिल की तरह कहीं पे तो नहीं जाते. कहीं पे तो रखे हुए. Now to do that trip up and down, you must have a reliable public transport, whatever way it could be. So that is what it is. So if you create this cities for people, when can save that. This is the latest one. Nearly 30 minutes to travel 10 kilometers, Bangalore ranks second among slowest cities in the world. You are happy with it. And people like me and people like all of us who will have a driver, they are happy. 2 घंटे लग रहे हैं, मैं अपना मोबाइल कर रहा हूँ, बात कर रहा हूँ, सो रहा हूँ. Because car is a moving living room on the street. Car is a moving living room. Car has a music, car has a book, car has a takiya, car has a juice, car has some chips. Everything is there. So it doesn't matter to many people, but it matters. It is costing you your life. It is called the car rage. If you want to understand and change this, and we tell politicians and many others, कि दादा यहाँ तक है, इस स्लाइड को समझ लो, अगर इस स्लाइड को समझ लोगे तो आगे बढ़ोगे. तो आप मेरे को बता देना यहाँ पे रुकना है आगे. There, how many of you have seen this slide? This is a very common slide. Okay, anybody who has seen? Okay, many 5 or 6 have seen. Others who have not seen will go through it. Revise this. This is same number of people going from one point to another, converted into 3 buses. The same number of people on the bicycle. You are not widening the street. You have released the space on the street. Point number 1. What are the other benefits? Anyone, raise hands. What are the other benefits? Yes, sir. Clean air. So, sir, हम पीछे से शुरू करेंगे. हाँ? मैं सर से बात करूँगा ना. तो जरा बच्चों को सब तो देंगे सारे हमारे प्रश्नों को उत्तर दे रहा. Yes, dear. Saving of fuel. Okay.
Time distance.
Sorry.
Time distance.
टाइम डिस्टेंस मतलब
जल्दी पहुंच जाएंगे।
किसमें जल्दी पहुंचेंगे?
फर्स्ट वाले फोटो में।
कौन से? इसमें?
फर्स्ट है सर।
इसमें आपको मैं नोबेल प्राइज दूंगा। आप रियली में बिलीव करते हो? पूछ रहा हूं। डर गए कि सही है गलत है। एग्जाम्पल देता हूं, बहुत पोजीशंस पे बिल्कुल सही है। मैं और मेरा ऑफिस का बंदा आशिक जैन, वी वर इन कर्वे रोड, वन ऑफ द एरियाज। मीटिंग खत्म हुई, मैं कार में ऑफिस में आया, वो साइकिल में ऑफिस में आया, मैं ऑफिस में मर्सिडीज में, वो पहुंचा। ये फास्टर देन मी, वो साइकिल निकल, एंड इज ट्रू, दैट इज आपके पास बाद में आएंगे। एंड एनीबडी एल्स? व्हाट एल्स? कॉस्ट ऑफ ट्रैवलिंग, यस ऑफ कोर्स, कॉस्ट ऑफ ट्रैवलिंग चीपेस्ट, एनर्जी हेल्थ भी अच्छी हो जाएगी और बस सस्ती होगी कार से। और कुछ पॉल्यूशन, somebody said, सर ने बताया पॉल्यूशन क्लीन है।
सोशल कनेक्ट,
सोशल कनेक्ट, ये बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है। Third one doesn't have it person. Fantastic, because I am enjoying this really. This is what needs to be looked at. But you don't talk about social connect की वैल्यू है, GDP में कन्वर्ट कर दो यार social connect। हमारे को तो वही समझना है। All these finance people which will come to you, डाल मैंने मैनेजमेंट किया है, they will have salaries of 1 crore, 2 crore per annum. They will talk about GDP. Which is the country in the world which doesn't judge with GDP but judges with something else? Who said that? यहाँ से फ्रंट रो से आप प्रोफेसर टीम में हो ना? Bhutan. It talks about gross happiness index. That's what it should be. Happiness index क्या है? जितना पैसा तुम्हारे पास आएगा उतनी बीमारियां भी लेके चलोगे साथ। जरूरी नहीं है, but you have to balance. So having said that, you are absolutely right. You are right when you are saying कि social interaction, साइकिल पे जा रहे हैं। हम हमारे कॉलेज में, पीजी कॉलेज मार्केट से जहाँ मैं पढ़ाता हूँ, हमने बस लगा रखी है। बस के ऊपर कुछ बच्चे आते, कुछ नहीं आते, यही है टू व्हीलर पे आऊँगा, इसमें आऊँगा वगैरह। लेकिन बस से आओ यार, बस में बहुत सोशल इंटरेक्शन होता है। किताब पढ़ सकते हो, म्यूजिक पढ़ सकते हो, सब कुछ कर सकते हो। आई वाज इन दिल्ली, आई यूज्ड टू स्टे इन हरिनगर, माय ऑफिस वाज इन हॉस्कास। 5 days a week I used to take a chartered bus. चार्टर्ड बस में किताब पढ़ता था, म्यूजिक सुनता था, बात कर लेता था, आराम से जाते थे, कोई ट्रैफिक का झंझट नहीं। संडे को हमने हमारी कार रखी हुई थी ऑफिस में, ऑफिस से हम कार लेते थे, एसपी में पढ़ाने को जाते थे, एसपी दिल्ली साइड पे जाते थे। सैटरडे संडे को कार घर ले आते थे फैमिली के साथ घूमने के लिए। नंबर ऑफ ट्रिप्स आई एम टोटली अबाउट नंबर ऑफ ट्रिप्स, नॉट ओनिंग द कार। कल तो आपने को जूते निकाल के बाहर आ दूंगा, हमें कार भी थोड़ी देंगे क्या, ऐसे कहाँ से आए? जरूर खरीदूंगा। नंबर ऑफ having said that, the bus needs to be clean, साफ सुथरी होनी चाहिए, reliable होनी चाहिए, smart, on this reliable। कितने बजे नेक्स्ट बस है? That is ना, ये बस को अगर reliable करना, और ये बीजापुर का नहीं, मैं बैंगलोर का एग्जाम्पल ले लो, कहीं से ले लो, यहाँ से वहां तक बस जा रही है, टाइम कर सकते हो उस बस को? बस तो फंसी बनी है ट्रैफिक पे, तो टाइम कैसे होगा? टाइम तो ट्रेन हो सकती है या मेट्रो हो सकती है, तो उसके बीच में कोई नहीं आ रहा, तो बस के बीच में तो सभी लोग आ रहे हैं, तो बस टाइम कैसे होगी? यू नो व्हाट आई एम कमिंग टू? एनी आइडिया? तो बस को अगर टाइम करना तो क्या करना चाहिए? टाइम पे बस चाहिए, उसको क्या कहते हैं? बीआरटीएस कहते हैं, सेपरेट लेन फॉर बस। बीआरटीएस कहते हैं, वो इंडिया में बनेगी नहीं, क्योंकि उसको ऐसे कुचल दिया गया है कि दैट इज द वर्स्ट ट्रांसपोर्टेशन सिस्टम अवेलेबल। उसको तो खत्म कर दिया, देन मेक इज डेथ। तो अभी तो अभी थोड़े से किलोमीटर बचे हैं, इंदौर में बचे हैं, अहमदाबाद में बचे हैं और पुणे में बचे हैं, दिल्ली का कोई डिस्मेंटल कर दिया। ये तो बिल्कुल फालतू सिस्टम, सबसे बेस्ट सिस्टम। Anyway, we are not going to discuss that. You can call me again, otherwise I will come again to your lovely city. So you are right. So social interaction in the bus. तो हम हमारे कॉलेज के बच्चों को तो बस में हम किताब पढ़ो, ये पढ़ो, दोस्ती करो, गहरी दोस्ती करो, बहुत गहरी दोस्ती करो। और हमारे बात में पता चलेगा ये दोस्ती कहाँ हुई? बस में। ओ वाओ। Then there was traffic congestion problem and pollution in Delhi. The Aam Aadmi Party side odd and even cars. They are not for it, it doesn't work. But anyway, they did odd and even. What happened? There was a tweet in the Facebook and all. Odd and even में cooling शुरू हो गया. तो किसी ने कहा मैं cannot place the Nehru place जा रहा हूँ यहाँ. Okay. तो Mr. Gupta, Mrs. Shenoy, Mrs. Menon, ये सब एक गाड़ी में जाने लगे. Mrs. Menon इडली लेके आ रही है, Mr. Gupta समोसे लेके आ रहे हैं. और somebody else and everybody is sharing. And then you are asking each other, आप कौन से building में रहते हैं? मैं even floor 10th floor. I stay in the 9th floor. We have never met. Of course we have never met. Don't meet. But go to the lift. We are in the lift. And we don't say hello. We don't want to look into each other. This is what it is. So maybe this is absolutely right. That social interaction, pollution, congestion, and normally that answer comes last. You gave it the first. What did you say?
Saving of fuel.
Saving of fuel. You are recording this. I don't want this to be recorded. I can't be very free on this. Because okay, ma'am. No, I'm just okay. So in saving of the fuel, why don't we have a discussion with Nirmala Sitharaman ma'am, Chidambaram sir, great Arun Jaitley sir, everyone, all finance minister, कि सब इसको promote करते हैं. तो भारत का GDP वो बचेगा foreign exchange. तो बड़ा डायनेमिक्स का प्रॉब्लम है. इतना आसानी से होता नहीं है जितना आसानी से मैं कह सकता हूँ. तो आगे बढ़े, समझ में आ गई स्लाइड? Are you in? Okay. Now let us talk about healthy neighborhood. छोटा आना शुरू करते हैं. पूरी सिटी को अगर ठीक करते जाएंगे ना मेरे बस की बात है ना तुम्हारे बस की बात. तुम्हारे बस की बात है, मेरे बस की बात. मेरे से तो छोटा गिरा शुरू करते हैं. 3 पार्ट्स: सेफ्टी, शेड एंड सोसाइटी. हमारे को क्या चाहिए? सेफ्टी चाहिए. 35,000 young lives lost in road accidents last year. ये डाटा है. Road deaths in India, road deaths in world, 20%, traffic deaths per day. ये हालत है. कभी मेरे कॉलेज में एक बच्ची, मैं पूछा था बस से क्यों नहीं? सब पूछने के बाद में एक लड़की है, उससे मैंने पूछा तो बस से क्यों नहीं? तो बस वेरी एक्सपेंसिव. और उसी बच्ची का उदाहरण मैंने पहले दिन सेकेंड ईयर भी आज में दिया. बस से आया करो, बस एक्सपेंसिव भी हो, उदाहरण आज का कुछ हो गया तो क्या? And I gave a girl's example that she was in a two-wheeler in Chandni Chowk in Pune, you know Chandni Chowk, not the Delhi Chandni Chowk, and she fell down from the motorcycle. उसके हाथ के ऊपर से ट्रक गया, and then she was in the hospital, and then now she has come out. I don't know how much money her father must have spent on her hand for last 2 years. अगर तुम्हारा बस अगर एक्सपेंसिव है, 5,000 रुपए एक्सपेंसिव है, 4 साल में तुम 10,000 रुपए, 20-30,000 रुपए दे रहे हो, या हाथ के ऑपरेशन से तो सस्ता ही होगा. So all I told them. And I met this girl yesterday, and I said, कैसे हो बच्चे, क्या हो गया? मैं कैसे आते हो स्कूल में? Same girl. She said, "Miss school." I was stunned at you. There were other faculty members in school there. I didn't talk and उनका बात हुआ. भगवान ने तुम्हारे को दूसरी जिंदगी दी है. I was there. I came to you in ICU to meet you. I'm not being emotional and right. I'm telling you the reality. तो ये reality है. Road deaths. If you are hit by a vehicle at 20 kmph, the chances of survival is 1 out of 10. Or what you call not survival is a fatal injury. 30 किलोमीटर से अगर किसी ने आपको धक्का दिया, पेडेस्ट्रियन या साइक्लिस्ट को, 5:5. अगर 40 किलोमीटर की स्पीड में अगर आपको किसी ने पुश किया, 9 will have fatal injuries. We got the police and one police officer or inspector told me, "सांझे तो तुम कर रहे हो, ये कर रहे हो, रास्ता छुड़ा कर रहे हो, मेरा all kind of thing." हमारा एक काम है कि रास्ते में fatal accident नहीं होना चाहिए. साहब हमारा बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. We got the police very good. जब जो आप कर रहे हो वही हम कह रहे हैं. How many of you know Pune? Normally, you know Lakshmi Road, a congested road like Lakshmi Road. वहाँ पे कहीं पे किसी को चोट भी आती है, किसी ने लगा दिया तो ऐसे करके आप निकल जाएंगे. वो कार की स्पीड इतनी स्लो होती है. मैं फंस गया. पेडेस्ट्रियन का क्या? So this is the second one. 80% of all road traffic deaths are among pedestrians, cyclists and motorcyclists. तो आप अपने बच्चे को साइकिल पे भेजोगे? क्यों भेजोगे? It's impossible. I sent my elder son to the Loyola school in Pune, crossing Bhaner Road on a bicycle. I did not send my younger son to the same school, and I was saying the same thing, because Bhaner Road was widened by that time, 5 years gap. As soon as you widened the road, चौड़ा कर दिया, speed बढ़ गई, it became a killer street. ओवर नहीं जाओगे साइकिल पे। अच्छा, हमारे स्ट्रीट पे लोग ऐसे चलते हैं, और इसमें कल्प्रिट कौन है? Who is the culprit? Pedestrian is the culprit. वो I don't know हिंदी वर्ड में क्या मराठी में बेशिस्त है, indisciplined pedestrian. He is the indisciplined pedestrian. Why is he walking here? He should be walking there. Where here? Where should he walk here? I don't know where he is supposed to walk. This is Rajkot. अभी देखो ये यहाँ चल रहे हैं, है तो सिर्फ फुटपाथ यहाँ। अरे दिख नहीं रहा, आपको दिख रहा होगा। How do you walk? अच्छा इस पेड़ कैसे जाएंगे, फिर इधर से जाएंगे, फिर इसके पीछे से जाएंगे, मैं तो सीधा चलूंगा यार। बड़ा सिंपल। This is my instinct. I want to walk at one level and straight. One level is the first. ये जौहरी बाजार है पूरा जयपुर का। ये देख लो लोग कहाँ पे चल रहे हैं। ओह वाह, ये देखो कहाँ पे। यहाँ पे सारी गाड़ियाँ पार्क, और यहाँ पे एक लेन ट्रैफिक की चल रही है, सब कुछ एवरीथिंग इज परफेक्ट, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं। बट इसको हम इम्प्रूव करते हैं, सेफ्टी नहीं लाएंगे, गलती से इसने स्पीड में डाल दिया, इसको ठोक दिया तो वो हैपेंड, यू नो। So anyway, we are into this, and this is all occupied by parking. Parking is your birthright and fundamental. आपके घर आपको पार्किंग है, शादी में जाना कार के नीचे, पहले पार्किंग है अपने। वही लोग पाएंगे, नहीं तो लोग पाएंगे नहीं शादी में। पहले पार्किंग है, वो भी फ्री में नीचे, नॉट फ्री। पार्किंग इज नॉट अवर फंडामेंटल राइट, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट नहीं है, पार्किंग है, इक्विटी है। ऐसा क्रॉस करते हैं indisciplined human behavior. क्या करें यार? क्या आप ऐसे करोगे? मेरे से पूछ लो, क्या मैं ऐसा करूंगा? मैं ऐसे ही करूंगा, because that is the shortest for me. I want to reach my place of work. I will take the shortest route, and I will do this. I will, if I am a Superman, I will go in the bar को भी ऐसे करूंगा। ऐसे किया हुआ मिलेगा आपको। ये रिसर्च करके आपने जरूरी है। Just your 5 years in architecture, do this research as your dissertation topic and find out what one behavior is on the public realm. अपने घर में तो सब मस्त है, कचरा भी नहीं बाहर डालेंगे। रास्ता तो किसको बिलोंग करता है? आपको बिलोंग ही नहीं करता, वो सरकार को बिलोंग। ये फुटओवर ब्रिज है। हाँ, फुटओवर ब्रिज किसके लिए बनाया था? फुटओवर ब्रिज पेडेस्ट्रियंस के लिए। If I say footover bridge, कार वालों के लिए बनाया है। Footover bridge is made for cars, for convenience of the car to move the car smoothly. So you are supposed to climb up 4.5 meter. The whole designer is very much concerned with your head. 4.5 मीटर ऊपर चढ़ो, 4.5 मीटर नीचे आओ। He is not concerned with your time. कौन चढ़ेगा 4.5 मीटर ऊपर? हम तो ऐसे ही जाएंगे। रेड लाइट लगाओ, रेड लाइट काम करे, ट्रैफिक शुड क्रॉस, आई विल क्रॉस at grade crossing at grade crossing. So this will only work provided in Bombay BT station. BT station पे ऊपर जाओगे, already you are crossing the platforms to come out straight and get into JK College of Architecture. Works perfect. ये सबवे, ये पुणे में कहीं पे भी हो, any problem with these kind of subways? Anybody? कोई problem होता है सबवे के साथ? Yeah? I feel insecure. Everybody else? Yeah? Anyone else? आप आगे से क्वेश्चन का आंसर नहीं करो. You are bad. Underclasses are absolutely dark, dingy, insecure for girls, ladies, elderly, otherwise anybody. Chain snatching, eve teasing, molesting, all kind of things. It will happen in the subways where there are no people. And you will still conduct underpasses. So underpasses don't work. Though in underpass you have to go down little less and then walk up little less. You don't have to go 4.5 meters. Can you tell me on a footover bridge why 4.5 meters? What danger? Truck and fire brigade. The fire brigade or truck which is the highest, so that much you don't cross. So again, whose convenience? Fire brigade is a convenience for the society. You look at this. Now you can set the footover bridge and then I want advertisement revenue for the corporation. Logical. then I do this. Will any girl walk from here to here alone? She's just looking all the time back. She said, ये reality है. किस society की बात करते हैं? Camera लगाओ. What are the cameras going to do? They will catch the culprit after the act is done. That is the reality. You don't talk about the social aspects. The architects, engineers who are into this, they should be talking about this language. We are what? अभी हम तो सारा काम करें टेंडर का टाइटल क्या होता है? Beautification of the street. तो लिपस्टिक लगाओ, पाउडर लगाओ, क्रीम लगाओ. What is beautification? There is nothing called beautification. I think we are not in the profession of beautification at all. We are in the profession of utilitarian. Light आ रही है, पीछे से आ रही है, and कोई ट्यूबलाइट की जरूरत नहीं है. इतना बढ़िया है आपका ऑडिटोरियम है, डिजाइन की है. उन्होंने तो बताया, मिस्टर खेमबर्गी, बहुत सीनियर आर्किटेक्ट कर चुके हैं, उन्होंने किया. वो फ्लोर बिल हो गया, ये आई को 5 करोड़. Right. We tried to stop, and we went to everyone. Engineer or politician, local persons, this merchant association, everyone, traffic police. Because can you tell me who agreed to stop it? It didn't get stopped, you can see. But anybody who was in agreement with our saying? Anyone? Any guesses by anyone? You will not answer first. You will answer last. I am hoping that you will answer correct. Yes, anybody else? Anyone, including you? Who agreed that this should not be there? People agreed to it. People don't think to be very honest. I will tell you our incidents with people. लोग भारतीय लोग हम जो है ना वो भेद चाल में होते. आप अच्छा प्रोग्राम होगा हमारे कॉलेज में लेक्चर था अच्छा बात करते हैं यार अभी तो आप आएंगे तो यही वो होगा ना इसने कह दिया नहीं चलते तो 5 के 5 उसके फ्रेंड नहीं जाता ये नहीं जाते. हम सब आइसक्रीम खाने जाएंगे तो हम सब आइसक्रीम खाने जाएंगे. तो वो जो ब्रेक अवे फ्रॉम दैट मैं मेरे ग्रुप से कैसे रुकूं? So I have to say yes. I'm sorry. This is how all of us. Yes, anybody? Contractors agreed. है उसका तो प्रॉफिट हो रहा था उसका वो रोकेगा इसको 5 करोड़ का उसका प्रॉफिट होगा. Only person agreed that this should not be done was the politician. You will be surprised. Politicians said what they are saying is right. ये नहीं होना चाहिए. 5 करोड़ अपने नर्सरी स्कूल में लगा दो.